It was a Tuesday, 9:10 a.m., and my coffee was still hot when Alicia called. I had the mug in my hand, leaning against the kitchen counter, staring at the unpaid electric bill. Her voice had that bright, stretched-out tone she uses when she's showing off. She said, "You should stay home while I do this Palm Mesa trip with the girls." Then she laughed. I heard another voice giggle in the background, maybe two. "It's for winners only," she added, like she was testing how far she could push the joke. Then came the line, "You wouldn't be comfortable. It's a different level." I didn't say anything at first, just looked down at the past due notice and let her words roll around. She wasn't mad. She wasn't joking either. She was floating above me, dripping condescension through a cell tower. I said, "All right, do what you want." My voice sounded calm, too calm, like someone just shut the lights off inside me. Quick note before we go further. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. She kept talking like nothing had shifted. Rooftop dinners, yacht day, some executive women's circle meetup. I could hear a blender going behind her and a woman asking something about bottle service. I didn't respond. I said, "Have a nice time," and hung up. I stood there a second. The fridge kicked on. The hum filled the kitchen like white noise. No rage, no sadness, just stillness. I walked down the hall, grabbed the old army green duffel from under the bed, and started packing. 2 pairs of jeans, 3 Henleys, my tool roll, the envelope with my social security card and birth certificate. I folded slow, precise, like I was working on something that mattered. I wasn't angry, I was done. I pulled out my phone and took photos of the living room, the TV, the patio set, the computer, time-stamped one by one. I took the joint card from my wallet and laid it next to her perfume bottles on the dresser. Let her cover winter expenses herself. Then I pulled the house key off my ring, put it back on the hook by the door, and pocketed the spare from the grill's side box, where I'd stashed it 5 years ago. I grabbed my truck title from the file tote under the bed, folded it in half and slid it into my back pocket. I didn't leave a note, didn't send a follow-up text. I just stepped outside, locked the door, and stood there a second on the porch, breathing in cut grass and lemon cleaner. Then, I climbed into the F-150 and pulled out onto Maple, heading north, radio off. I met Alicia in 2011 at a cookout behind a buddy's place in Chandler, hot dogs on a folding table, beer in a trash can full of ice. She was wearing a ponytail, hoop earrings, talking to 3 people at once about vendor contracts like she was running a damn boardroom. I liked how she spoke, fast, sharp, confident, like she didn't ask permission to be heard. I was doing bids for a facilities outfit back then. Nothing fancy, just steady work. Good with my hands. She liked that. Said it was rare. We talked half the night on a cinder block wall behind the shed. I gave her my hoodie when it got cold. She said, "You fold like that with your tools, too?" I said, "Better." She grinned and took my number. We moved fast. Within 6 months, we were splitting rent on a duplex on Klein Street. Nothing big, 2 beds, popcorn ceiling, mismatched tile, but it felt like something real. She made French toast on Sundays. I handled the trash and oil changes. We were a team. She finished a business cert in year 2 and leveled up. Better job, real salary, nicer blouses. I picked up overtime to match it, or tried to. On Sundays, we'd share a cinnamon roll from that old place on Union and talk through the week. Groceries, bills, dreams. It felt right, like forward motion. Then 2018 hit and knocked the legs out from under us. My company lost 2 big contracts and cut hours hard. I tried to stick it out, patchwork some side jobs, light installs, drywall patching, power washing. But it wasn't enough. Bills got tight. Not scary, just tight. But I felt it. More than that, I saw it. She started saying words different. Budget, like it was a bruise. Standard, like she was choking on it. Her mom, Marlene, made it worse. Dinners turned into interviews. Alicia would say something about work, and Marlene would side-eye me and go, "You carry so much, Alicia. It's impressive." Then turn to me with that little church smile and say, "Curtis, ever think about management training?" Like I was the house dog they were trying to teach tricks to. I nodded, said, "Working on it," through a mouthful of overcooked pork chop. I wasn't lazy. I picked up a night shift at a warehouse for 7 months, just to keep us current. Kept the lights on after we bought the townhouse. Didn't ask her for anything. She started climbing harder, and I started vanishing. New friends came around, from her office mostly. Women who posted about boss energy and grind mindsets and took rooftop shots like it was cardio. Alicia started saying things like, "You wouldn't like it," or "It's just girls." That's how she'd leave me behind. One time I did go, some woman I didn't know patted me on the back like a lost puppy and said, "Don't worry, success is a mindset." I smiled and cleared their empty glasses. After that, it was easier to stay home. Easier to unclog the bath drain, trim the shrubs, check the AC filter, just fix things. That's what I do. Then came the jokes. You and your coupons. Look who's got a budget beard. Harmless, right? But it builds. One night, after a few glasses of wine, she said, "I need a partner I don't have to carry." I looked at her, said nothing. She said it again 3 weeks later, same wine voice, same dead look in her eyes. By then, I'd seen the group chat name flash across her phone. Champions, not snooping, just lit up while she was in the kitchen. Bossy brunch, cabo, club tables. I asked lightly if I should book some days off for the trip. She blinked like I'd just asked to join the cheer squad. "It's not that kind of trip," she said. I nodded, told myself to hang on, told myself it was just a phase, a dry season. But every time I tightened a leaky valve, patched a wall, stretched a grocery run, every little thing I did felt like it counted for less, like she couldn't see it, or worse, saw it and resented it. Then came the Palm Mesa call, and that one line, "Winners only." That was the break, not an explosion, just that final snapping cable you hear right before something heavy drops. And I didn't yell, I packed. I drove 24 miles north to a month-to-month place right off the highway. Low roof, flickering sign, ice machine that rattled like it was coughing up bolts. Clean enough? That was all I needed. I paid cash for 8 nights and asked for a room facing the lot. Room 213. I wanted the truck in my line of sight. I sat on the edge of the bed and didn't turn the TV on. First thing I did was open a new checking account at a credit union down the road. Took less than 20 minutes. I switched my direct deposit while I was still parked in their lot. Then I closed the auto pay on the joint card. A few taps, no ceremony. Just moving lines around so they made sense again. Back at the room, I backed up my phone. Photos, messages, receipts. I laid everything out on the desk like parts from a teardown. Took pictures of the mortgage statements, the car insurance cards, screenshot the charge for 2 VIP yacht day passes. I wasn't mad about it. I wasn't judging. I was recording. I called a storage place and rented a 7x10. They asked when I wanted access. I said, "Tonight." That night, I drove back once. Just once. She was out at her pre-trip blowout. Hair and nails and whatever else they do before pretending life is a highlight reel. The house was quiet. I moved fast but not rushed. Tools first. My dad's old tackle box, my winter coat, the box of family photos I keep meaning to organize and never do. I didn't touch anything that wasn't mine. In and out in 18 minutes. At 11:52, my phone buzzed. "Where are you?" At 12:03, "Curtis, this isn't funny." I put the phone face down and watched Motel TV with the sound off. Some game show. People smiling too hard. My hands were steady the whole time. Morning came early. I made coffee in the room and sat at the little table with a yellow pad I'd grabbed from the truck. I started a list. Health account, truck registration, dentist appointment I hadn't booked in 3 years. New insurance quotes, stuff I should have been handling all along. The kind of list a man makes when he realizes he's been living like a guest in his own life. I went to work like normal, told my foreman I needed a few half days to handle personal matters. He looked at me for a second, then nodded. "Handle it," he said. That was it. No advice, no pity, just respect. It felt good. On my lunch break, I bought a prepaid phone at a strip mall. Cheap, no frills. I set it to ring only for unknown numbers, so I'd have to choose to hear her. My regular phone went on Do Not Disturb. I didn't block her. I just made silence something I controlled. Back at the motel, I laid everything out again. Wallet, keys, documents. I put the prepaid phone in the top drawer. Regular phone stayed in my pocket, quiet. I wasn't hiding. I was building space. She texted again that afternoon, then called. I let it go. Each buzz felt smaller than the last, like the sound was draining out of it. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't punishing her. I was settling myself. That night, I moved the rest of my things into storage. locked the unit, spun the dial twice. I stood there a second, listening to the echo die in the hallway. Back in room 213, I turned off the lights and lay down fully dressed. The ice machine kicked on. A truck door slammed somewhere outside. Ordinary sounds, nothing dramatic. I closed my eyes and let the quiet hold, solid and square, like a shelf that finally sits level because someone took the time to measure it right. Next morning, I shaved, put on clean jeans, and drove to meet a lawyer named Devin. His office was wedged between a donut shop and a tax place in a strip mall that hadn't seen new paint since Bush left office. Inside, it smelled like coffee and printer paper. He stood up when I walked in, shook my hand firm, and said, "I work simple and clean." That's exactly what I needed. We sat down across from each other in a glass-walled office with a view of the parking lot. He pulled out a yellow legal pad and clicked his pen once. "What are you looking for?" he asked. I said, "Peace. And fairness." He nodded. No smirk, no lecture. Just got to work. We went over the assets. The townhouse, market value about $340, with a mortgage that put our equity near $112. 2 vehicles, both titles in my name. The CRV she drove, the F-150 mine. 1 joint savings account, $8,900, give or take. 1 joint credit card. He wrote it all down like a man taking inventory after a fire. "Don't do anything petty," he said. "Do things proper." "I'm not here to swing," I told him. "I'm here to close the gate behind me." We planned a legal separation filing, set to be served while she was out of state. That way there wouldn't be a dramatic scene on the doorstep. Just facts on paper. He said the paperwork would be ready in 3 days. When I got back to the motel, I sent Alicia one message. Nothing fancy. "I'm taking space. Please use your own card for your trip. I'll be in touch through counsel. No fight, no follow-up. Just a line drawn. Stay." Then I handled the outer circle. I texted 2 of her friends who'd always been decent, Renee and Tasha. "I'm safe, taking time. Please don't involve me in Alicia's trip plans. I need quiet." Both hit back with thumbs up. Renee added, "Sorry it's messy. Hope things smooth out." Tasha said, "You do what you need to do. Respect." Next was Marlene. I didn't owe her anything, but I figured it was better to get ahead of it. Left a voicemail. "Marlene, I respect your daughter. We're taking a pause. Please don't come by the house. I've secured it. No fuel, no shots fired, just control." After that, I focused on documentation, pulled together what I had. Screenshots of her "winners only" comment from the call log, bank statements showing I'd covered the mortgage for 31 straight months, photos of the sink I fixed, the new tile grout in the bathroom, the water heater receipt. All dated, all backed up. I wasn't building a case to burn her down. I was building a case so nobody could say I was just bitter and broke. I wanted to stand up straight, not swing wild. Later that day, I told the one person I knew would keep his mouth shut, Trent, my best friend since we were 18. "Hey," I said when he picked up, "I'm stepping back." There was a pause. Then he said, "About time." He offered me his spare room, said I could stay as long as I needed. "I appreciate it," I told him. "But I'm good at the motel for now. Just need the quiet." He didn't push, just said, "You say the word." That night, back in room 213, I logged into my Facebook for the first time in months. Set the audience to "only me" and typed a single post. Nothing dramatic. Just something I could read later and remember the shift. Not angry, fixing my life. I hit post, didn't share it, didn't scroll. Then I shut the laptop, slid it under the bed, and sat there in the motel light with nothing but my breath and the faint rattle of the ice machine outside. No noise, no chase. Just me setting the board like a man who finally realized nobody else was gonna do it for him. 2 days later, the prepaid phone buzzed on the motel nightstand. Unknown number. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. "Curtis," she said, "what is this? You're being dramatic." I could hear the airport behind her, rolling bags, that hollow echo, someone ordering a cold brew like it was urgent. She didn't wait for me to answer. "The Palm Mesa thing is networking," she said. "It's for people at a certain level." I leaned back on the bed and stared at the ceiling stain shaped like Nevada. "Alicia, I heard you," I said. "Winners only. You made your point." I kept my voice flat. No heat, no sarcasm. She shifted gears fast, softer now, careful. You've been off lately, she said. Maybe take this week to reset. I'll come back, we'll talk, we'll refresh. Refresh, like I was a frozen screen. It's not the trip, I said. It's the pattern, the jokes. The way you look at me like I'm a job you regret taking. The line went quiet. I could hear her breathing. Then a long sigh, like she was tired of explaining something simple to a slow kid. You're overreacting, she said. My friends joke too. We push each other. Then the edge came back, sharp as ever. I need a partner who steps up. I am stepping up, I said. Just not in the direction you want. She didn't interrupt, so I kept going. I opened my own account. My pay goes there now. I've got counsel. When you get back, you'll have paperwork. We can split the house clean and go our ways. She didn't yell. That surprised me. She went cold instead. So you're quitting, she said. All this because you can't handle my success? No, I said, because you can't handle my dignity. I let it sit there. Didn't rush to fill the space. Didn't soften it. She didn't react. No gasp. No apology. Just another voice in the background calling for boarding. She said, I have to get on the plane. I'll call you later. Don't, I said. But she'd already hung up. I sat there for a second with the phone in my hand, then powered it off. Did the same with my regular phone. The room felt bigger without the buzz, like air finally moved again. I stood up and paced once, heel to toe, heel to toe. The carpet smelled like cleaner and old smoke. I wasn't shaking. I checked my hands just to be sure. I sat back down on the edge of the bed and pulled my boots closer, laced one tight, then the other, slow, even, the way I do it before a long day. This wasn't about winning an argument. It wasn't about teaching her a lesson. It was about saying a thing once and meaning it. I tied the last knot, stood up, and grabbed my jacket from the chair. That evening, the prepaid buzzed again. This time, it was Trent. You free? He texted. I replied, Yeah, where? He dropped a pin. Old bar near the train tracks, place with scratch tables, fried pickles, and a jukebox that hasn't worked right since 2004. I slid into a booth facing the door. He came in 5 minutes later, holding his phone like it weighed something. He didn't order, just sat down, leaned in, and said, I didn't want to say anything without proof. I didn't speak, just waited. He pulled up a photo, grainy but clear enough. Alicia at some winery event, glass in hand, leaned in close to a guy I didn't recognize, hand low on her back. His name was Marco, from her gym. Back in March, Trent said. I took the phone and looked hard. The pose didn't scream anything. Could have passed for friendly. But it didn't feel friendly, not if you've lived the rest of it, not if you've washed the wine glasses afterward. He swiped to the next one. Different day, different scene, same guy, gray Audi, pulling out of our neighborhood at 6:40 in the morning. 2 weeks ago. I knew the curve of the curb. I knew the street sign in the corner of the frame. That's our corner, I said. Yup, he nodded. That's your trash can. No drama. No cussing. I didn't flip the table or slam my fist down. I just nodded again and passed the phone back. You good? Trent asked. Yeah, I said. I'm fine. He studied me like he didn't buy it. I mean it, I told him. This just lines up the story straight. He gave me a long look. All right, man. I went back to the motel and sat down at the little round table by the window. I pulled out my pad and wrote out a simple timeline. No emotion, no bullet points, just lines. The date she started her new class schedule. The month I picked up night shifts. The first time the jokes turned from funny to sharp. The day I saw the Champions group chat flash across her screen. The timestamp on the winery photo. The 6:40 a.m. Audi sighting. It all lined up. I didn't call her. Didn't message her friends. Didn't say a damn word to Marco. I didn't even look up his last name. That wasn't the point. I slept 6 full hours that night. First time in months. No clenched jaw, no grinding teeth. Just clean, steady sleep. In the morning, I scanned the timeline and sent it to Devin, along with a short note. I'm not looking for blood. I want a fair split and a clean exit. But I don't want to be made the bad guy. He replied 3 minutes later. Understood. That afternoon, I opened the motel desk drawer and looked at my wedding band. Simple silver, no engraving. I hadn't taken it off even when I packed. I wore it through the move, through the silence, through the photos. I slid it off and set it inside the drawer, closed it gently. Not out of anger, just because it didn't belong on my hand anymore. That was the moment it hit me. We weren't the people from Klein Street anymore. The ones who split cinnamon rolls and made grocery lists and argued about Trader Joe's parking. She had changed, so had I. I stood up, washed my face in the sink, and stepped outside. The air was dry. Trucks groaned past on the highway. Nothing fancy, nothing symbolic, but everything felt clearer, like finally seeing the edge of a puzzle after staring at a mess of pieces for too long. It wasn't about the guy. Not really. It was about what she thought I wouldn't notice, wouldn't catch, wouldn't do anything about. She misjudged that. And now the story had shape. Devin had the papers ready by Friday. Legal separation, proposed asset split. Straightforward language. No jabs, no blame, just numbers and lines. He slid the folder across the desk. You want her served at home? I shook my head. She's out of state. Serve her at the resort. It'll be cleaner. He gave a half nod, half smile. Not smug, just professional approval. Like I'd passed a test most guys fail. At 4:18 p.m., the process server texted me one word. Served. No photo, no dramatic message, just confirmation. I stared at it for a second and pictured her at some rooftop pool, flute of champagne in one hand, sunglasses perched high, sun on her shoulders, envelope in her lap, one world colliding with another. At 4:22, I logged in and shut off the joint credit card, not to trap her, not to humiliate her, just to stop the slow bleed. She had her own card, always did. My paycheck hadn't hit the joint account in 2 days. No surprises, just closure. At 6:05, Renee texted, Alicia just got served. She's furious. I'm staying out of it. You okay? I replied, I'm okay. Please don't pick sides. She sent a heart emoji. I didn't react. I just stared at it until it faded from the screen. At 7:11, Marlene started calling. 6 times, back to back. I let it go to voicemail. The 7th time, I picked up. Marlene, I won't discuss this, I said before she could get a word out. Papers are filed. We'll be fair. Please don't come to the townhouse, she hissed through the phone. How dare you embarrass my daughter? Then she hung up. I stared at the ceiling, not surprised, just done. Next morning, things started leaking from Alicia's group chat. Screenshots, snark. One made it back to me through Tasha. Alicia wrote, He's punishing me because I succeeded. He can't handle it. Tasha replied, He asked for space. Respect it. That was it. No drama, no defense, just facts. I didn't reply. I wasn't in that room anymore. I wasn't in that version of my life. Later that afternoon, I got an alert on my phone. 2 decline charges on the joint card. First one for $1,436, resort charge. Then another for $208, probably dinner or a spa thing. Both failed. Then came the text. Call me now. I didn't. I put the phone face down and went back to eating my motel pizza, lukewarm and greasy in the corner of the little table. I ate slow, savored it. Not because it was good, but because it was mine. Paid for by my money, no lecture attached. This wasn't about starving her. This wasn't revenge. It was about stopping the part where I funded vacations that came with a side of eye rolls and backhanded jokes. Where I paid for the wine and the brunch and the flights, just to be told I wasn't stepping up. She had resources. She had choices. Now, so did I. I stood up, wiped my hands, and tossed the empty box in the trash. Took a deep breath and let it out slow. The motel buzzed faintly with old neon, and a truck honked out on the highway. That sound felt more real to me than anything she'd posted in months. This wasn't me going dark. This was me turning the lights back on. She showed up the following Wednesday, just after 7. I heard the knock and looked through the blinds. Alicia, no makeup, hair tied back, same navy sweater from 3 winters ago with the stretched-out sleeves. She looked like she hadn't slept. I opened the door and didn't say anything. She took one small step back, like she thought I might yell. I messed up, she said, voice soft, tight. I was proud and stupid. I said things I shouldn't have. I made you feel small. Her eyes didn't meet mine. She stared down at the porch like she was waiting for the floor to swallow her. I thought if I kept pushing, she said, you'd rise to it. I leaned against the frame, arms crossed. I'm not a project, I said. I'm a person. I fix things. I show up. I don't need a coach living in my kitchen keeping score. She closed her eyes and nodded. No defense. No sarcasm. She opened her mouth again, started to say something about Marco, then shut it, then said, "It wasn't like that." Which is what people say when it was like that, just not in the way the movies show it. I didn't ask for details, didn't care anymore. That ship had taken on too much water already. I'm not here to fight you, I said. My voice stayed steady. I'm here to end the fight. She didn't speak, so I laid it out. We split the equity. You keep the CRV. I keep the truck. We sell the townhouse. Close all joint accounts. No one uses the dog as a pawn. She cracked a laugh. One of those quiet, broken ones. You wrote all that down, didn't you? Typed, I said. In a Google Doc. She wiped her eyes, still not crying, but close. I don't want to lose you, she said. I want to fix it. I shook my head. I'm not something to fix, I said. I'm someone you should have respected while you had me. That one landed. She took it in the chest and didn't bounce back right away. Just nodded again, slower this time. Do you hate me? She asked. No, I said. I hate what we turned into. We stood there a minute with nothing but air between us. No sirens, no shouting. Just a little chill wind brushing through the trees outside Trent's place. She looked up finally. Thanks for not blowing up my job, she said. You're welcome. Then she stepped back. Okay, she said. I'll wait for the call from your lawyer. I nodded. She turned and walked down the 3 steps to the sidewalk, hands shoved in her pockets. I could hear the sound of her boots on the concrete, but I didn't watch her leave. I stood in the doorway and looked up at the sky instead. Cloudless, sharp blue, the kind that doesn't care what kind of day you're having. I stayed there until the door felt heavy in my hand. Then I closed it. Not loud, not slow, just enough. The sale went through 6 weeks later. We listed on a Thursday and had a full price offer by Saturday afternoon. After fees and closing, we split a little over $100,000 clean. Devin made sure it stayed fair. I took my half, paid off the truck, set aside what I'd owe in taxes, and dropped the rest in a plain savings account. No crypto. No big plans. Just mine. That night, Alicia sent a long message. Said she hoped I'd forgive her someday. Said she'd learned a lot. She asked if we could meet for coffee. I typed, not now, maybe down the road. Take care. Then I deleted maybe and sent the rest. Word got around without noise. Not because I aired it out, but because people notice. Enough of them pulled back from her to feel it, not all. Just enough to quiet the room. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just stopped being the guy getting laughed at in someone else's group chat. The quiet payback came in pieces. She covered her own resort bill after the joint card bounced. She paid the movers alone. She stood in that empty townhouse and realized I hadn't taken anything that wasn't mine. And everything that was mine mattered more than furniture. I moved into a second-floor unit over a hardware store on the edge of town. Got a used oak table, 4 chairs off Craigslist. Hung my dad's tackle box on the wall like art. If people thought it looked weird, they didn't say a word. On Saturdays, I'd take on side jobs with Trent. Hang a door, rewire a light, fix a sagging porch step. People pay in cash and coffee. I sleep good. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday call, the tone in her voice, how calm I sounded. That calm wasn't defeat. It wasn't numb. It was me stepping back into my own skin. I don't miss the jokes. I don't miss the secondhand shame. I don't miss feeling like I was the wrong shape for the life I built. I saw her once, 3 aisles over in the grocery store. She was comparing olive oils like she was analyzing stocks. She looked up, saw me. I nodded. She nodded back. No scene, no words. Just 2 people who learned what happens when respect gets treated like pocket change. Looking back, I should have known when the laugh stopped sounding like love and started feeling like taps on a bruise. I should have drawn the line sooner, but I drew it. I didn't set fire to the field. I just walked off it and let the weather do the rest.